Hi, I'm Tony Nichols, and welcome to Chamber Chat. Hi, welcome to Chamber Chat, a program put together by the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce to keep you informed of what's going on in your community and in your chamber. And joining us now on Chamber Chat is Erin Hillyer with Shorecraft Brew.
Beer.
I don't know, I'm in awe to have you in front of me. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So everyone probably thinks that Shorecraft beer, I have a couple of the t-shirts by the way.
Oh, good.
That Shorecraft beer is a brewery.
It is not. We're an organization. We started, I have oceancity.com and a bunch of different websites, primarily tourism focused. Mm-hmm. And Shorecraft Beer we started in October of 2014 because we had 19 breweries and nobody knew it. The hotels didn't know it, the bars and restaurants didn't know it, and we were missing a gigantic tourism opportunity. So we created Shorecraft Beer to make the Shore a top 10 craft beer destination. Well, to make it a destination.
You stole my second question. Why create an organization or an entity such as this? But it's to get the word out.
It's to get the word out, and it's to sort of educate people, one, on craft beer and how cool it is, two, on the economic driver that craft beer has become, and to make our Shore a craft beer destination so that basically the money flows here instead of going elsewhere.
There's a lot of information on the website. Tons of information.
Tons of
where do you get all this information from? Do you have people working for you that they give you this information, or is it just driven by a passion for craft beer?
Well, I'm passionate about craft beer.
Or yes.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. So I have writers, and we put a lot of content together. We work with a lot of the tourism businesses, the hotels, the bars and restaurants, to create events, to create festivals where I'm sure you got your t-shirts. Yep. And so that's what we do, is we're trying to make the Shore a top 10 craft beer destination. And when I was looking to see how we could do that, Virginia was number 7. And I was like, well, what do they have that we don't?
Sure.
And one of the things they had is that the governor had proclaimed August as Craft Beer Month in Virginia.
Okay.
So Jim Mathias was in a meeting with us, and he's like, I can do that. So he got the governor and a Senate proclamation. So this will be the 3rd year that February is Craft Beer Lovers Month. So we got that designation. Now we just need to get all the businesses and bars and restaurants to understand what we have, to focus on our local craft beer. And one of the reasons that's important is 67% of every dollar spent on local craft beer stays local.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter where you spend it.
It sounds like there's a bit of a challenge to get everybody on board. What do you perceive the challenges may be?
I think there needs to be a paradigm shift. You know, I talked to a woman and I said, hey, we should get this women's group together and we should go to the breweries and they should tell us about their beer and tell us about why this is valuable. And she's like, I don't like beer. You know, when it's spirits or wine, let me know. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people don't understand is I do believe there's a beer that everybody will enjoy. You just have to find it. I hate IPAs. I was at RAR in Cambridge.
Okay, you have to stop. We have to end the program now. And find another guest.
So I don't like the bitter.
Okay.
But, and I was told actually that lightning should strike me down because I didn't like IPAs.
That was the Chamber Chat version.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're a little more delicate. But it goes with everything. So I love stouts and porters, and I love Belgians, and and I like the Rausch beers from Germany. And so I like almost anything that isn't bitter, but I love an IPA. Have you been to Brickworks?
No.
In Smyrna.
No.
They have fabulous food, but they did a date with blue cheese in the middle wrapped in bacon.
I've had dates in bacon in Southern California.
So you eat that with an IPA. You get the floral taste of the hop, you get the smell of the hops, but you don't get the bitter, and it's fabulous.
I read a little statistic on your website. While I think it was 14% of women consider themselves craft beer drinkers, and the craft breweries 40% of the people standing in the brewery are women.
Right. This is not a sex-based difference. Right. Millennials in particular, millennials drink a third of all craft beer. Mm-hmm. So it's a women and men, and they travel for craft beer. So that's what we're focusing on.
Well, that's a good segue, because you've put together with some restaurants and hotels vacation packages that are centered around craft beer.
Absolutely. So we have hotel packages, we have specials. If you go to shorecraftbeer.com, it's all listed there. And then we have a big festival coming up for February. So there's going to be celebration all over the shore for February. And we call it Craft Beer Lovers Month. so you can get the kitchen names like Bitter Breakup IPA, or the chocolate cherry stouts.
Well, I think that would be a big step if people will get on that, I don't want to say bandwagon, but get on that bandwagon and support those kinds of efforts or those kinds of events.
Absolutely.
Then that just perpetuates the word. The conversation grows and expands to, not only the event itself, but it grows to water cooler conversation, sidewalk communication, boardroom conversation, and I think that's how you'll ultimately get the word out.
Absolutely. And if I walk into a bar and I say, I don't like IPAs, what beer do you have that I might like? If they look at me and they're like, oh God, and they walk away, like that's a problem. But if they say, well, we have X, Y, and Z, and they're made locally, it's that conversation and that level of education that we want. And that's how we attract tourism. And in Virginia, it's a $2 billion industry, craft beer related tourism. Here, it's not even measured.
Well, that's a pretty big industry, and it's continuing to grow, because there are a lot of people that are, the Googles or the Apples, that they're brewing beer in their barn out back or their shed or their garage, and they're brewing really good beer.
Really good. That's how almost all the brewers in our area started.
Right.
So they're almost all home brewers.
And so that's where the businesses come from. That's where the economic development comes from, when there's opportunity for those people to step out with as little pain as possible.
Artistry and the craftsmanship of beer is no different than food, and it's something we should be celebrating, because it's a very local, very exciting new development in our area.
But it's just a fad, right?
No, absolutely not. So that's how this got started. Is in 1985, when I graduated from college, I hated beer, and I would walk around with a little beer in the bottom of my glass so I wouldn't look like a nerd. And I was challenged in 2014 by a guy who said, women don't like craft beer and craft beer is a fad. And I put Sam Adams beer on my planes for in 1985 for Presidential Airways. And so 30 years is not a fad. Just saying, my perspective.
I kind of poked the bear a little bit, because I read that on the website as well. So I knew the response.
Definitely not a fad.
How do you think home brewers are supporting, helping, hurting the craft brew movement?
Helping hugely. I think that, again, it's the artistry. And so when you cook and you love to cook, you go to a great restaurant when you can get really good food. And the same thing is going on here. I think the home brewing industry is a fabulous industry. They're one of the biggest supporters of the different flavors of beer. And it's a great synergistic, and it just shows the popularity of craft beer across all branches of our population.
For craft beer?
I think craft beer, we're a little behind here. I think craft beer is a stabilizing, market. Sure. I don't think it's going to go away. A third of all craft beer is consumed by millennials, and they're not even of age. Right. So if you think about that, it's going to continue to be integrated with our bars and restaurants. And right now, 75% of our population lives within 10 miles of a brewery, and I think that's going to continue. And you're going to see some really good, creative uses of craft beer, both in cooking and in drinking, and integrating it locally.
So events coming up, or events that you have throughout the year, give us a little snapshot of that before we have to break away.
Okay, so February is Craft Beer Lovers Month. All over you'll see events in different locations, the breweries, the bars and restaurants. We have the capstone event on February 24th at Secrets. It's the Shorecraft Beer Fest, Love on Tap. We have some great bar bands, great beer. We have, I think, 13 breweries, 26 different kinds of beer. It'll be fabulous.
Very cool. And Hillyer, thanks for showing up and being so happy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Did you practice that?
I did. We'd like to
Thank
thank
you.
you as well, and I'd like to give you an opportunity now to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Chamber Chat right here on PAC 14. Joining us now is Joe Comeau with Impact Technology Group. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. You're here to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart because we have been affected by it multiple times, my family, in the last couple of years even. Cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
Why is that a thing?
Well, unfortunately, it's a thing because people found out that they could make money by using other people's information and gathering that information and essentially just stealing that information. Information is very high value these days.
So why do I, I'm in Wicomico County and I'm in my house and I'm by myself and everyone around me I trust. Why do I have to worry about this person in wherever they are affecting me across the country or across the world?
Yep. It is worldwide, and they look at it as low-hanging fruit. Okay, you're unlikely to invest as an individual into these extreme measures to protect yourself, but even your credit card information or even your street address is so valuable to other people, whether it just be for a mailing list, which isn't quite as malicious, but buying things on your credit card without your consent and things like that get very intrusive into your life, and it becomes easier and easier.
So is it because everyone sees the big breaches that are national, the Yahoo breaches, the email breaches, all the breaches of what was it, Equifax? They're just going after the big companies, but you're saying as tantalizing as the big companies are, is even more tantalizing. Low-hanging fruit is the word you used. Or the everyday person sitting in their living room surfing the web.
Yep. So if you think about Equifax, they probably have quite a large budget when it comes to security, protections, things like that, whereas the general home user or even small business in the Wicomico County area, Delmarva, doesn't put their thoughts into that because they're just trying to get their small business to be successful and things like that.
Windows Defender.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, my computer's protected, or I haven't been affected before, or it's not going to happen to me because I'm small business. It's a very scary thing.
That ties directly into the next question. It's not going to happen to me. It's always someone else. I'm too small. Are those the traps that we fall into?
I hear it every day. No, that's too big. I'm just a small business. I don't need that. Nothing's ever happened to me before. But if you have any of your personal data, your business data, or even more importantly, your client data on your network, there's no money too much to invest in protecting that, whether it be from lawsuits of that data being stolen and used because you didn't have protections in place, or your reputation being harmed from this data. Any of this stuff is detrimental to your business, and if you're that small business, that might end your business.
Well, it makes so much sense when you say that. I know we were just talking off camera, week before Christmas, our accounts were hit, our cards were hit through banks. And that's not the first time it's happened. And at one point, I even had to close an account because the bank told me that someone from Crofton, Maryland, logged in to my online checking account. That means they had to have username and password, and we don't readily give that stuff out to people.
Yep, that's it. It's so
biggest
easy to get.
Misconception out there.
And if you think about it, what do you need to change a password these days? You need an email address and you need a username.
True.
Most usernames are your email address.
Right.
Once you have that email address, you can get right in and reset a password. Doesn't matter what you had it set as. It's reset. They go do what they need to do. Very dangerous.
Didn't even think about that. Is there any way to find out who's doing it? Do we ever catch these people? You never hear of someone getting caught.
Right. Very rarely. So back in the early days of cybersecurity hacking or security breaches, there were, more or less it was just a fun game down the street, young kid at home.
Seeing if they can get in.
Now this is worldwide businesses that just focus on doing this. Some of this may even be government sponsored so that one government can get information from another government. All of this is so deep in the dark web, we'll never find it.
I think I have the solution, and we can find it. We hire a bunch of 14-year-olds.
Absolutely. The smartest ones are the youngest ones.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, with every generation, they're doing things. I mean, and we're walking around with computers in our pockets now that were certainly stronger than any computer I had when I had Windows 95.
Windows 95 was great in its time, but it wouldn't survive a day in today's world.
All right, so I've seen commercials, and I think I know what it is, but I'm sure I don't. The dark web. My assumption is that is a marketplace where you can buy and sell my stuff.
That's very high level true, but so much deeper, so much darker. Okay, what you see every day on the internet is, the Facebooks and CNN and whatever sites you go to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more under the surface where all the nefarious things are happening. All of the stolen information transfer, drug sales, all kinds of things happen there. You need special software to do it. Really, really deep to get in there.
So you can actually pay a company, so I hear, to find out if your information is on the dark web.
Yes.
Because I'm not in the field, that boggles my mind. If we can pay someone to find out if it's out there, then why can't we find out who put it there?
The locations of the data are often anonymous or masked in a way that it's so many layers deep that you're not able to find that.
We've all seen the movies where it's, whatever email or phone calls bounced off, 22 different servers or sites or wherever, so there's really no way to trace it.
Yep. So once they have that data, they could have a password of yours from 10 years, 15 years ago. And it may not be important now, but just knowing that they had that makes you step back and think, whoa, what else might they have?
Sure. Yeah, I stepped back when the bank called and told me that someone logged in from a different city, and that'll sit back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And make you scratch your head.
Yeah.
What can you do? What can a typical business owner or individual do?
The biggest piece that you can do is be educated. Be aware of clicking on things in email that you're not expecting to have.
Look at the little link that shows up. Hover over it. Look
click
at the little
here.
Link that shows up.
Look below. Make sure you know what you're clicking on. So education is number one. Number two, don't go new places out there on the web. Stick to what you know. It's safer that way. They have protections in place. By doing that, you have protections from Visa or MasterCard for your credit card information. The other thing I highly recommend is changing your passwords very regularly, up to monthly, okay? Especially your banking passwords, your email passwords, okay? From a business standpoint, there are appliances that sit in place and do nothing but monitor that stuff all day long.
My son does a lot of online gaming, and that's certainly the probabilities of getting hacked in those kinds of environments are very high.
Yeah.
He uses a password coder or key or whatever. Are those things viable, or
yes.
they?
The bad guys are always going to be one step ahead. Okay, so whether you're using a password encryption tool or a password management tool, there's still ways to get into it. The best way is storing your passwords in your head, or in a locked box, and changing them regularly in case one leaked out. It's not usable if it's already old.
Joe Comeau, Impact Technology, good information, man. Thanks for joining us on
Thank you very much.
Chat.
I appreciate it.
We'd like to give you another opportunity now to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Chamber Chat right here on Pack 14. And joining us now is Erin Wood with the Voice Radio Network. Welcome to Chamber Chat.
Thank you for having me.
How ironic is this? We have a radio personality or a marketing person on television. How ironic.
It happens from time to time.
So here's the first question. Isn't radio dead? Isn't radio a thing of the past? Isn't radio dead?
No, it's not. It's not. Especially on Delmarva. We are such a close, tight-knit community here that people care about live and local radio. They want to know what's going on in their community.
Yeah.
They want to know, and that's how they're going to find out. And I believe the statistic is 93% of Americans listen to terrestrial radio every week.
Well, I'm in the 93% because from time to time, I just want a little solitude. I'm by myself and it's quiet. Otherwise, it has to be on. And my wife she can't, I guess she doesn't want to be alone with me because she has to have it on in the car. So I can see where that is still a very powerful medium to get whatever out to people. Are you finding that people are realizing that it's still alive and well, or is it a little bit of a little bit of nudging to say no, it's still very viable with statistics like that?
In the community, I have people who say to me, I listen to satellite radio or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have other people who say, oh, I love local radio. That's all I listen to. Satellite radio is something you pay for. Terrestrial radio is live and local. It's a free service that we offer. So.
And I would think in every community, regardless of what community you come from, very community-oriented and community-centered in the efforts in the marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how would radio, how does radio benefit the communities at large?
Oh, it benefits in so many ways. I can speak for our radio stations.
Yeah.
We are so involved in the community. We raised $253,000 for a company called La Esperanza. And La Esperanza is a nonprofit organization in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
They raise money for Latinos and victims of crime. And so $253,000, we're very proud of that.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, and the past 2 years, we've had a festival for them. We've raised $17,000 for them, and 20,000 people came.
Wow.
So we're very, very happy about that.
That's a big deal, 20,000 people.
We
Yeah, you should tout. I mean, so for a nonprofit to come and sit down or approach radio and say, hey, is this viable for us? How much is it going to cost us? Is there a cost for them to come to you to see if it's viable for them? Obviously, it's viable for them, but how viable it is? Is there a cost? Is there a cost involved to find out?
We will help them as much as possible.
Sure.
We will do what we can. To advertise on the radio, it does cost money to do that. However, for nonprofits, we treat them with as much as respect as possible as they do with the community. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, that's a big part of, giving back. I mean, it's, do the right thing kind of thing.
Yes.
The other events maybe that you've worked with, certainly, not to say that you raised $250,000 because that's a pretty big feat.
Yes.
Any other veins or nonprofits or businesses that you've worked with that ultimately drive, even a company that advertises on a radio, ABC company advertises their cars on the radio. Mm-hmm. That ultimately drives back to the community because that's a local business advertising on the radio, which they're advertising for a local business. But how does all that tie in to drive the economic development for Delmarva?
In so many ways. The first thing I think about when I think about nonprofits and Delmarva is I would even say 100% of the people who live here have a heart for other people. This is a special place that we live. And as far as nonprofits, we have raised money for kids' toy drives for kids in need. So we think that's very special for us to do that for people. And we also we gave away turkeys live on the air for company for families in need.
Nice. So the idea that the radio is dead or thing of the past, there are times people might have a satellite radio. Okay, that's all well and good, but I do. But there are times when, if you're looking for value, or if you're looking for information, or you're looking for content that affects you, you go to local radio.
Yes.
Rather than going to the satellites of the world. Is there a particular industry or business segment or nonprofit segment that benefits more, or is it, if you dip your toe in the water, the benefit is universally the same?
I would say it's the same.
Yeah.
And you're talking in terms of people or companies who advertise with us.
Right, the value that they get from it. Because the reach is the reach, I would think.
Yes. The reach is the reach. The value you get is, I would say, the same. Now, if you did more ads than another nonprofit does,
sure,
more people are going to hear that.
Right.
And you might get better results with that.
So we did something in the chamber when we did a rebrand several years ago, reach and frequency, reach and frequency, reach and frequency. So I would think that's kind of right in your wheelhouse.
Yes, exactly. I preach that every day.
Yeah, so it's not only so I have a business or a nonprofit, and I don't know how to create a marketing campaign. Is that something that radio can provide and support?
Absolutely. If the person who is helping you with your radio advertising, your rep, if they know the market, they know what message to put in your ad to attract the people in that specific area.
Gotcha.
So if you have a good rep, you can get very good results.
So if you know a lot, that's good. If you don't know too much, then you can still benefit by having a very good local radio rep.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as our company is concerned, we are always there to help in any way possible.
Very cool. Erin Wood, the Voice Radio Network. Thanks for joining us on Chamber Chat.
Thank you very much.
And we'd like to thank you for joining us on this edition of Chamber Chat. And as always, if you missed a portion of this edition or you'd like to view previous editions of Chamber Chat, you can utilize Pack 14's on-demand feature or visit the Chamber's website. That's all the time we have for this edition of Chamber Chat. My name's Tony Nichols, your host, encouraging you to make a difference.